Hey guys! This week it's back to the engine hoses, and we're gonna get the hoses and put on that freaking manifold. As you know, I've been kind of backed up on this whole part of my engine project, putting the hoses on the engine, because A, I couldn't put the hoses on while the manifold was still on because I couldn't get the right angle to the fittings, and B, the hoses that I had bought for this project to replace the pre-molded hose that I'd had before weren't working, and I needed to find a closer equivalent to the hose that I had cut through before.
So what is that? Is that the old one?
Yeah, this is the hose I took off the engine that I had to cut a slit in order to remove it. And I needed a hose that could make this angle a 60-degree-ish angle that had an 1.1 inch inner diameter. So the first thing I did was I went to Kneebar, the hose and fittings little shop, and I asked them if they had it, and they said they did not have an 1.1 inch hose at this angle or even a 90-degree angle, because 1.1 inch hose is a very uncommon size. So one of the suggestions was that I take a piece of wired wet exhaust hose, and since it is wired, it won't just kink when you bend it, so you can bend it to a pretty extreme angle. So I did try that on the engine, but I had to bend it to such an angle that although it didn't just kink in half like a heater hose would, a non-reinforced hose, it did get a big crease in it that made me feel really uncomfortable with what it would be like under hundreds of miles of a vibrating engine, that it could put a stress crack in it and crack someday. So I wanted to do better than this, so I went to O'Reilly's because that was the second suggestion the guy at Kneebar had given me. He said I could either do this or I could go to O'Reilly's because they might have more options in pre-bent hoses. So when I went to O'Reilly's, I got this, which was originally, this is how I bought it. Yeah, I took this in and she brought out 3 hoses that were similar to this, but the other 2 had a really wide curve like that, so that there's no way, like with this, I have cut this off, because with this, I saw that I was able to superimpose a part of it on the old hose and get the ends to be exactly lined up with each other, and the ends are what really matters. So, and she also said that this was this new hose is 1.1/16 inch, even though this is 1.1 inch, but we both said that I can probably make that work. Are you asleep, Aaron? Aaron?
I'm awake.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
fell asleep.
That's okay. Like, it's all good. I'm almost done. But I thought we could hop inside because I only have one hose left to do on the front of the engine. So I've done every hose but one of them. The one that I need to connect to the C strainer to the C strainer to the raw water pump. And this is, I know the C strainer really well. It's a Perco, and you undo the screw at the bottom to lift it up. And when I lift it up, I can put the hose here, then I can put it there, and then I can put the thing back on.
Sugar. Sugar. No, sugar.
Don't let it get too below the water line, or it'll start pouring water. Ah, that went on so nice. So nice, so smooth. Okay, I'm done. All right, guys, I finally finished installing the hoses, and the manifold is back on. So the only other things I have to do are tie up some loose ends from previous engine projects. Like, I have to fix one last thing on one of the mounts. I have to get one of the fuel lines fitted a bit better together with a T. I have to put the finish putting the fuel injectors back on the engine, align the engine. I also have to figure out why the Permatex high temperature thread sealant that I used to put the set screws in the shaft coupling a few episodes ago is still wet after all this time. So if anybody knows why my thread sealant would not have cured after like 3 or 4 weeks, please let me know in the comments. That would be greatly appreciated. But I feel like I'm almost done with all this engine work. I just have to like finish up some things that aren't mysterious to me at all. So I think next episode I might do a finishing up type thing, and have a good week.